Thanks for coming back to video editing and workflows for the rest of us. Now, I want to go into video and what is video? That's what we're going to get into here. So video is a set of pictures. So I know you're taking a look at visuals and you don't see that, but they're actually pictures being taken every second, every part of a second, as a matter of fact. For argument's sake, I'm going to say 30 pictures per second. So 30 frames per second means 30 pictures are being actually taken of myself right now every second. So what that means is, for editing purposes, that we have a starting time and an ending time. And what happens is, the reason for this is, if you're doing some editing, it's because you want to make changes to your video. Otherwise, you do something like TikTok, where it just starts at the beginning and it ends when you stop. And so here's a good example. If you were to look at a TikTok video, typically you'll see someone wanting to walk towards the camera or make believe that they're walking. But usually you'll see them standing still and then start taking the first step. That's because someone pressed the button, they started recording. So it's not a natural movement, but that's what you get. That means that they started at the very beginning. To edit means to select where you want to start your video. So while that person is walking, when they take that first step, you don't want that. Perhaps you want to go mid-step. So maybe this is where that falls. So that video will start here. You're selecting for it to start here. That is called an endpoint. So I'll put the letter I, an endpoint. Now, regardless of what editing program you utilize, if you're looking at a video and you press the letter I, it'll place an endpoint there. And now you want to select when it's going to end. So let's say you want to end before the person, let's say they're walking out the door, before they walk out the door. Maybe that's where this is it. This ends here. So this is your out point, meaning that's where the video is going to end. So if you were in an editing program and you press the letter O, it'll put an out point. I and O are universal. So video, again, is a set of frames, pictures, and in between there is the motion where something starts and something ends. Another way of looking at it is, if you ever done a flip book, and if you haven't, I'll explain what that is. If you have some pages to work with, a notebook, something that no one's going to use, don't get someone upset by writing it, by doodling in their book, their precious book. Don't do that. If you have some scrap paper or whatever have you, the notebook that you can utilize, take the corner of the page and draw something, whatever it is. And then the next page, this is from the bottom up, by the way. So you're going to go to the bottom page and you're going to scribble something on the next page, which will be on top of it. You scribble again, but in a different position. And then you keep doing that as you go up the pages, putting in different locations. Now, if you were to take those pages and you were to flip them and they go by, you'll see that whatever item you draw moves about in a different position, and there's motion. That's how video is created. So I hope that that helps anyone with the question of what is video. Now, the other thing about video is quality. So you'll hear many people talking about HD and 4K and 2K and all this other stuff. All that means is that the higher numbers have more information of the video than the lower ones. So it really doesn't matter if you're going to utilize the video in a place or a player, if you want to call it that, where it's just going to use the lower number. So right now, my videos, I believe I'm setting them at 1020p, 1080p that is. And if I were to just think of it this way, if I were to put it on a 720 size video, there's more than enough information, right? Because the 1080 is a larger number than the 720, meaning that there's more information in the video that I'm presenting into the program than the program requires. However, if it was the other way around, then what you're going to see is what's called pixelation or degrading of the video, meaning that it's going to look blurry. So video has these colored dots everywhere, or squares, I should say. And what will happen is that makes your picture. However, if you add more colors, more pictures, or more dots inside of it with the colors, then it becomes richer. There's more quality to it, and you see more detail. However, if I were to take away some dots, and there's not much information in the center, then you won't have as much of a clear picture. So that's what it means by degrading or pixelation. So we want more information. Another thing that you may want to consider for when you're creating video, if you're creating video yourself, or if you're just editing for someone and you just want to make sure that they give you the proper video, again, quality and quantity is what you're requiring and what you need. So another thing to consider is what's called contrast and the amount of color in the video. So contrast, I'm glad I have this here, is when you have something dark and then something light. So there's contrast. If this board or this edge were to be the same color as this and the wall, then you won't see anything, will you? You'll probably think I'm writing on the wall because there's no edge to define the shape of this board. And so that's the difference. So this will be contrast, black, in this instance, black and white. That's contrast. You can see the difference in between one and the other. Same thing for the color here. When I put blue, now that the blue is a different color than the black or the white. So that gives me what we call a color, and color is defined by saturation. How much color do you put in there? So it's blue, but if I had a lighter blue or a different color blue, then that would be there will be a difference of saturation in the colors because one will be a lighter blue versus the other. So same thing with my outfit that I have now, gray. So you might see in the shadow is a darker gray than here, it's a lighter gray. It's still gray, but you have a contrast and a different saturation of the color according to the shadow that's being casted on to the shirt. So I hope that's making sense, and that way, because I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can as far as explaining or defining video for you. And then, so we went to the size, again, the size of the video. We went into how many frames per second, how video is created, what is video, and then of course the pixels that create the video itself. And then I also explained the difference between contrast, between dark and light. I really trying to stay away from saying black and white because you can have blue and yellow, and that's a big contrast. So you have a dark setting and a clear lighter setting or lighter color. So there's a difference there, and I'll go into more detail later down the line in the series when I go into coloring. But this is just a good explanation of that, and I hope that makes sense to you. And then we'll move on to the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get updates on upcoming workshops and webinars where I discuss more on this topic. I'm also available for training sessions and consulting. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next chapter of this series.